The charity gala at the Riverside Hotel was exactly what Nathan Torres had expected. Wealthy people in expensive suits pretended to care about underprivileged youth while sipping champagne that cost more than his monthly rent. Nathan was only there because his boss had insisted. As head of security for Morrison Events, he was required to oversee the venue's safety for high-profile clients. At 34, with a 7-year-old daughter at home with a sitter, he would rather have been anywhere else. He was midway through a perimeter check when he heard a commotion near the hotel's martial arts demonstration area. The gala organizers had set up a small exhibition, with local dojos showcasing their skills to encourage donations. A crowd had gathered around one particular man. Nathan recognized him instantly from the event briefing. Richard Chen, tech billionaire, philanthropist, and, according to the promotional materials, an 8th Dan Aikido master who had trained in Japan for 15 years. Chen was impressive, in his mid-50s, moving with the fluid grace of someone who had spent decades perfecting his art. He was demonstrating techniques with volunteers from the audience, effortlessly redirecting their attacks and throwing them gently to the mat. Aikido is about harmony, not violence, Chen explained to the appreciative crowd. It uses an opponent's energy against them, protecting both parties from harm. Nathan watched with mild interest. He had done his research on Chen, a legitimate martial artist, a serious practitioner, someone who had actually earned his rank through decades of dedication rather than buying a belt. Then Chen's eyes landed on Nathan. "You there, security officer. You look like you might have some training. Care to demonstrate with me?" Nathan wanted to decline. He was working. He didn't need the attention. But every wealthy patron nearby was now looking at him expectantly, and refusing would create an awkwardness his boss wouldn't appreciate. "I'm not really dressed for it, Mr. Chen," Nathan said, gesturing to his security uniform. "That's fine, just a friendly demonstration, unless you're afraid." Chen's smile was challenging, but not unkind. Nathan recognized the setup. A wealthy martial artist wanting to show off his skills against security personnel, to impress the donors. It was all part of the show. "All right," Nathan said, stepping onto the mat, "but only if you promise not to cry." The crowd laughed, assuming it was a joke. Chen's smile widened, confident. "I like that. Come, attack me however you'd like. I'll show everyone how Aikido neutralizes aggression." Nathan stood on the mat, posture relaxed, hands loose at his sides. He didn't look like a martial artist, just a working-class dad in a security uniform who probably couldn't afford the training Chen had received. "Whenever you're ready," Chen said, settling into his Aikido stance. Nathan moved. What happened next took roughly 2 seconds and would be replayed on phones for weeks afterward. Nathan feinted left, drawing out Chen's defensive response, then pivoted with a speed that didn't match his casual demeanor. He slipped inside Chen's guard before the Aikido master could establish grip or leverage, executed a perfectly timed sweep that took Chen's legs out from under him, and had the billionaire flat on his back with a hand positioned at his throat. Not aggressive, not violent, just complete technical control. The room went silent. Nathan immediately released Chen and offered a hand to help him up. "Sorry, you did say to attack however I'd like." Chen accepted the hand, rising with a mixture of shock and something close to delight on his face. What was that? Krav Maga, mostly. Some judo, a little boxing. Nathan shrugged. "Whatever works." "Whatever works," Chen repeated, laughing. "Where did you train?" "Israeli Defense Forces first. I was born there, served my mandatory time, then 6 years in U.S. Army Special Forces. They refined it. Now I just try to stay sharp." Chen's expression shifted entirely. "You're IDF and Special Forces trained, And you're working event security? It pays the bills. I've got a daughter. A steady paycheck beats anything else. That takedown. You could have hurt me badly, but you controlled it perfectly. Minimal force, maximum efficiency. That's the whole point of Krav Maga. End the threat fast without unnecessary damage. Though, I should apologize. You're twice you're a lot older than me, and I just dumped you on your back at your own charity event. Chen laughed again, louder this time. Don't apologize. That was humbling, and exactly what I needed. He turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what real martial arts looks like. Not demonstration techniques for donors, but actual combat skill from someone who's used it in real situations. I've trained for 30 years, and this man just taught me a lesson in 2 seconds. He turned back to Nathan. Please, demonstrate with me properly. Show these people what practical self-defense really is. For the next 20 minutes, Nathan walked through basic Krav Maga principles while Chen asked genuinely curious questions. The crowd was riveted. This wasn't ornamental martial arts philosophy, but practical technique anyone could use. The difference, Nathan explained, is that sport martial arts have rules. They're beautiful, technical, great for discipline and fitness. But real combat has no rules. You do whatever keeps you and others safe, and then you leave. That's it. After the demonstration, Chen approached Nathan privately. Can we talk? My office, Monday morning? Mr. Chen, I'm flattered, but I'm happy with my current job. I'm not offering you a job. I'm asking for your help with something personal. Monday morning, Nathan sat in Chen's office overlooking the city. I have a problem, Chen said. My company handles sensitive technology. We've had 3 security breaches this past year, corporate espionage, attempted theft. My current security team is fine for basic protection, but they're not prepared for real threats. I need you to assess our vulnerabilities, train my team, and build protocols for actual threats instead of theoretical ones. You'd report directly to me, set your own schedule around your daughter, and earn 3 times what you're making now. Mr. Chen, Richard, please. Richard, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not a security consultant. I'm just a guy with military training working a regular job. You're a Special Forces veteran with elite combat skill, working below your capability because you're prioritizing stability for your daughter. I respect that. But Nathan, what if you could have both? Better pay, better hours, meaningful work that actually uses what you know. Nathan thought about his daughter, Lily, about the student loan debt left from her mother's medical bills before she passed, about how he'd been treading water financially for 3 years. What's the schedule look like? Flexible. Work from our facility or remotely as needed. Build your hours around Lily's school. Bring her to the office whenever you need to. I have kids myself, I understand. And if you assess our security and decide we need someone more qualified than you, I'll trust your judgment and let you help me find them. Saturday night, you neutralized an 8th Dan Aikido master in 2 seconds without hurting him. That's judgment, control, and skill. That's exactly what I need. Nathan took the position. Within 3 weeks, he had identified a dozen security vulnerabilities at Chen's company. Within 3 months, he had completely overhauled their protocols and trained the security team in practical threat response. But the real change happened in Chen himself. Teach me, he asked Nathan one day. Not Aikido. I've spent 30 years on that. Teach me what you know. Real combat skills. You're 56 and an 8th Dan master. Why would you want to start over? Because Saturday night taught me that all my training, all my rank, all my philosophy meant nothing against someone who actually knew how to fight. I want to learn what actually works. Nathan began training Richard twice a week, not in elegant forms and traditional technique, but in practical, efficient combat skill. Richard stayed humble about starting from zero, eager to learn, willing to admit when something didn't work. They became friends, the billionaire martial artist and the single dad security expert. Richard started showing up to Lily's school events, became her honorary uncle, and made sure Nathan never had to choose between work and parenting. 2 years after that charity gala, Chen's company faced a real threat, an attempted kidnapping targeting Richard for ransom. Nathan's protocols and training meant the team responded perfectly. The threat was neutralized, Richard was safe, and law enforcement praised how professionally the situation was handled. "You saved my life today," Richard told Nathan afterward. "Your team saved your life. I just taught them how. You taught me humility before you taught me anything else. That night at the gala, I was showing off. You reminded me that rank means nothing if you can't back it up." Nathan smiled. "You backed it up today. You stayed calm, followed protocol, didn't let ego override judgment. That's real mastery. I learned from the best." Years later, when people asked about the viral video of a billionaire martial arts master getting taken down by event security, Richard would laugh and explain that the man in the video had taught him the most important lesson of his martial arts career. It doesn't matter how many years you've trained or what rank you hold if you've never tested yourself against someone who actually knows how to fight. Nathan had shown him the difference between demonstration and combat, theory and practice, ego and effectiveness. And Nathan? He would tell his daughter the story of the night he took down a billionaire and ended up with a career, a mentor, and a friend. "The secret, Lily, is that real skill doesn't need to show off. You do what's necessary, nothing more. You stay humble, keep learning, and remember that rank and reputation don't win fights. Preparation and practice do." "Did you really make him cry, Daddy?" "No, but I made him laugh, and that was better. Because sometimes the best outcome isn't defeating your opponent, it's earning their respect, teaching them something valuable, and building something meaningful out of a moment of humility." Richard learned that real mastery means acknowledging what you don't know. Nathan learned that his skills had value beyond just getting by. And everyone who watched that 2-second takedown learned that the quiet security guard in the corner might be the most dangerous person in the room. They just don't need to prove it unless you ask. If this story resonated, share it with someone who values substance over show. Subscribe for more stories about real skill, earned respect, and finding opportunity in unexpected moments. And leave a comment about a time when underestimating someone taught you an important lesson.